Hello, 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 hello. This is Tevs of the Unknown. I hope you guys are having a great Monday. So, for those of you who tuned in for Monday Night Raw, or for some of us, Monday Morning Raw, how about that ending, right? You know, we had a generational heel turn this year with John Cena. Even though that heel run was nowhere it needed to be for John's retirement tour, and please let's stop blaming The Rock. We've all seen Unreal or WWE Unreal. Yeah, this was on Triple H. Let's stop blaming The Rock for this one, okay? Honestly, this falls on Triple H. But anyways, we're getting off topic. So, generational heel turn this year, and now we've had another heel turn that just absolutely threw me for a loop. Um, I was able to watch most of Raw before I had to go into work. So when I saw this, it was not live, which sucked. But um, I was up there doing work, took a little break, see what was going to go on, what was happening in the last part of Raw, essentially, and then that's where I saw it. The Vision turning on Seth, Braun Breaker spearing the living hell out of Seth Rollins, and Rollins was squirming on the ground. And then Braun Breaker goes to Bronson Reed and is like, "You with me or not? Your call." Bronson Reed decides to align himself with Braun Breaker and tsunamis Seth Rollins. And then Braun Breaker goes to Paul Heyman, "Are you with us or not? Your call." Paul Heyman didn't really want to go away from Seth, but seeing in the position that Seth was in, absolutely in no shape or form able to help him, and seeing that you have two strong, strapping men right there ready to skyrocket to the top, Paul, he just does what he does, and he aligned himself in his own best interests with the Bronze. Now, the reports about saying that this should have happened last year. I mean, not last year. I got next year. This should have been where this was going to happen next year, instead of it now happening now. And that leads me to believe that Seth's injury, which occurred over the weekend when he fought Cody Rhodes, where most likely it's when he did the coast to coast headbutt and he landed on that shoulder, the same shoulder that alien him. He was in a sling and a fan's pick over the weekend as well. That it could be long term. I hope to God it's not. But seeing as how they made such a major pivot from what was supposed to happen next year to right now, means that most likely this is going to take a lot longer uh, than they hoped for. So, Seth, I hope you have a speedy recovery. But this was sort of being foretold at the beginning from the start of the night, when Seth said he didn't need anybody's help. He never needed anybody's help to beat guys like CM Punk and Roman Reigns, which was a lie. Paul Heyman helped execute the plan at WrestleMania to help him. Seth Rollins needed J&J Security to help him get to the Money in the Bank briefcase, where he eventually cashes in on Roman Reigns, and helped him retain the title on numerous amount of occasions. So for him to say that was a very two-faced thing to say, and that's been essentially his character from the start, very two-faced. The reason why Seth has done what he's done and tried to create the Vision was because he saw how Roman just held the company in a chokehold for over 4 years, until finally it took an extreme amount of help from other guys in the business, big time names in the business, for Roman to finally lose that title. And especially Cody Rhodes, obviously. But yeah, he was talking about he didn't need them. He didn't need the vision. He didn't need the bronze. He chose them. And at the end of the night, or end of the end of the show, um, they chose not to align with him anymore. So now, this heel turn may not be generational, but this changes everything going forward. Everything changes. So now we're talking about Saturday night's main event, which it was rumored. It's been on X, and I actually talked about it in one of my earlier videos that I dropped about 2-3 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. Where Saturday night's main event, one of the matches that was planned was CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. And CM Punk did his job by beating Jey Uso with a go to sleep, literally knocking the grill out of his mouth, which is crazy. But he is the number one contender. So now what happens with Seth? I don't think he's going to be able to wrestle from right here, from now to the first. That doesn't seem like something that he's going to be able, that he's capable of doing. So I'm pretty sure this injury, this assault by the Bronze, is going to take him out. So what happens now? Are they going to do like a gauntlet match to see who, or not they could do a gauntlet match, or will they do like a little small tournament to see who it is? But honestly, I feel like it's something Paul Heyman could work out, where it's the Bronze. It's a closed off gauntlet match. It's between the Bronze and CM Punk. Where you could have, if Punk survives the gauntlet, he's a champion. If not, if whoever pins CM Punk becomes the new World Heavyweight Champion. So, for me, I feel like they could do with Bronson Reed and CM Punk. There's no way Punk could really lift him up or go to sleep. So, what I feel like they'll do with Bronson Reed, if this is the scenario they go with, is somehow, Punk wins by count out. That's probably what may happen. And then Bronson Reed goes and just lays into Punk, probably dropping a couple of tsunamis here and there. And then Braun Breaker, the other Braun, goes and picks the bones. And it may be a pretty good fight from Punk, just trying to not lose, but obviously he will. And then Braun Breaker becomes the new World Heavyweight Champion, cementing himself as not only the superstar of the future, but the superstar of now. And from that point on, you can add whoever you want into the stable. Now, Austin Theory was supposedly rumored to be part of the War Games match, along with the Vision. So it could make sense for Austin Theory to get picked up, because finally they could do that, and they could eventually do the Randy Orton situation in a way. I mean, there's no real Triple H, but they could always use Austin Theory as kind of like the Randy Orton of the situation, where he kind of is the one that stands out and realizes this is not how he kind of wants to do it. Obviously, that didn't happen with Orton. Orton was more like, I won the championship. Triple H got jealous and basically beat the shit out of Randy Orton with the help of Dave Bautista and Ric Flair. But this does prove to me what the problem with Austin Theory is. People are sick and tired of him being a heel. They are sick and tired of him being a heel. So, he could do a little heel run and eventually turn face next year. They could do something like that. But in a way, this also sets up another proposed match that was rumored, but they didn't see how they were going to be able to do it. But now, if Seth's injury, knocks him out of the way out of current plans, now it opens up the Braun Breaker versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 42 for the championship. The vision is there. It's there. Um, Obviously, I feel like Bronson Reed could eventually win the Intercontinental Championship. He'll have a chance. It'd be like a two-man power trip with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. They could easily do that. But I just feel like they'll add another member with Austin Theory, or maybe even I want to say Ethan Page, but the CW loves Ethan Page, like literally they love him, so I don't see them wanting to give him up, even if they do have Ricky Starks, who is another big time star. Um, but you got to give it. They're in prime position right now. I just feel like right now that's where it could be heading with Braun Breaker being the champion, a hell of a champion, and he's just running roughshod over everybody. But then Roman Reigns comes back, and they have their fight. They have the storyline. Braun Breaker is made to look pretty much invincible, but then Roman Reigns reclaims the top spot, and he is the new champion at WrestleMania. That's why I feel like they're going. And so this was shocking, but this heel turn was also shocking. But it was also a little different than I expected it. Not different than I expected it to be. I just felt like this was what was needed. It wasn't like a forced heel turn, because what felt forced was the chemistry amongst these men. Because Seth Rollins was right in a lot of ways. He doesn't need anyone. He didn't need anybody. He didn't need Paul Heyman. He didn't need these two guys. He didn't. He was kind of speaking facts in a way. Although he did get help from other people in the past. But he doesn't need anybody to help him get over, in a sense. If we're talking about not necessarily the storyline, but as a commodity and such. He didn't need anybody. They needed him. But it always felt weird because Seth was the visionary. Paul Heyman's kind of like the visionary as well. Plus, the wise man sounds a hell of a lot better than the oracle. But it just didn't seem like a really great fit. Paul was probably someone who was trying to work, did whatever he could to make it work. But it just felt off. Like Seth didn't necessarily fit. But he did make these guys in 6 months, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, look like main event stars. And propelled them, because Braun Breaker was, I don't know if I said this already, but Braun Breaker was kind of like in between the World Heavyweight Championship title picture and the mid-card title picture, while Bronson Reed was kind of like close to catering and sniffing around the mid-card. Now they're in that rarefied air of just being main eventers. So gotta give big ups for Seth for that. And it reminds me of the Judgment Day, when it wasn't working with Edge. It felt stale. It felt like it was not going anywhere. And then Finn Balor joined the group, only for then Rhea, Finn, and Damian to turn on Edge. And ever since then, Judgment Day kind of blew up. Finn Balor, you can say what you want, they kind of feel like they're wasting them. I kind of agree. But it gave Finn new material. It gave Finn a little bit of fresh air. And then you got Dominic Mysterio added to that, and he is now a megastar. Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley, and Dominic Mysterio, well, Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio especially, are megastars. Damian Priest kind of still trying to find his way now, away from the whole Judgment Day thing. But, Damian is still a star. And so now that's what I felt that this was. This was just what happened with the Judgment Day and Edge is what's happening now with the Bronze division and Seth Rollins. And so now these guys can propel themselves up, and they're in the main event spot. And now you can really see where they can go with this. They can go with this in so many ways. But obviously, this was a heel turn that was shocking in some ways, but it was the most needed heel turn because it just was not working. It just was not working as well as it should. And maybe it picked up a little bit of steam, like everything was kind of starting to come together. But a blessing in disguise for these guys, or for the Bronze. Now they can go and just absolutely take over this business with the guys like Jacob Fatu and Penta and Ray, and up there with the stars like the Cody Rhodes, the Randy Ortons, the Drew McIntyres, the Roman Reigns, the CM Punks. This thing could go on and on, and yes, even LA Knight. They're in that spot, and then we got other stars like Obafemi and Trick Williams I think they're about to get called up. This right here was one of the more shocking turn of events. And even though it was mostly because of injury, I think this was a hell of a pivot, and it was the right call. Because you did not want Seth to hold the title ransom, and then what were you going to do with the Vision at that point? What were you going to do with the Bronze? I mean, probably fight for the tag team titles, but it would have been dead. The whole thing would have been dead in the water. So this was the right move. Seth, I hope he has a speedy recovery. I hope it's not too bad, but that the way it's kind of seems like. But I just hope he has a speedy recovery. As for the Bronze, they're now in that rarefied air with Paul Heyman there. Sky's the limit for this group. I'm really anxious to see where they go from here. But yeah, man, wow. I gotta say, man, Raw, the shows for SmackDown and Raw have really been leveling up. So I just hope they can be very more consistent with that, because keep things fresh, and I think that's what the draft is supposed to do. And again, I don't know when the draft is. I thought it was supposed to happen earlier. Now I'm just thinking it's gonna happen next January. I probably will be like the first Raw or something to elevate Netflix on Raw, so. Anyways, you guys, thank you for watching. I truly I am just truly in shock. Let me know in the comment section for you wrestling fans. How did y'all feel about this heel turn? Did y'all watch this live, or did you just find it out on social media like I did? Crazy. That scene right there. Absolutely crazy. Alright, you guys, thank you for watching. I truly appreciate those who watch my videos. I'm getting better and better. I'm absolutely editing. I still want to try to do game highlights, but I'm trying to figure out how to I don't know if the other creators are still doing it, even though they might get copyrighted or something because of the audio. I'm not sure, but I kind of want to do it, but I also kind of don't want to get a copyright strike. So I'm trying to figure out a way how to do that. I looked on a few options, but I'm still trying to figure out what's my best avenue for that. But anyways, you guys, Thank you guys for watching. Please stay safe out there. I'll see you guys in the next video.